Commissioner Reed, would you like to speak so we can hear you?
I'm here.
Great. Commissioner Davis, would you?
Commissioner Davis is here.
Great. All right, we will be muted until the meeting starts.
Commissioner Cloudman, is that the Oval Office you have in the background there?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
One minute to take off. Ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the DeLand City Commission. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. We're still under our emergency procedures and operating virtually in this meeting. I've determined from the city clerk that prior to 5 p.m. we had no public comments submitted in accordance with the procedure. Again, to members of the public that may be listening, we're still learning on this process, and so please be patient with us as we go through this process. Before the invocation, I would like to acknowledge the loss of several longtime members of our community that were all very much contributors to our community. Bob Coleman, a longtime contractor in our community, Jerry Doyle, the former owner of Jerry's Body Shop before retirement, and Al Worley, retired Army officer who was at Stetson University, subsequently their registrar after his retirement from the military. Please keep all three of those gentlemen in your thoughts and prayers. This evening, the invocation will be given by our city manager, Mr. Ployce, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Dear Lord, will you bow your heads with me and pray for God's blessing? We pray for the sick and infirmed. We pray for those who are filled with anxiety. We pray for our businesses and those suffering economically. We pray for our city commission and mayor and our state and federal leaders to give them the wisdom and the strength to guide us through this crisis. We pray for our first responders and healthcare workers, that you keep them healthy so that they can continue to serve those suffering from this virus. And we pray for the repose of the soul of our beloved community members that the mayor mentioned. We thank you for everything that you do for us, God, and we know that you're always in control, and we pray for your blessing upon us in this difficult time. In your name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Paiva,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Here.
Commissioner Cloudman,
Here.
Commissioner Reed,
Here.
Mayor Apgar.
Here. One other announcement that I would like to make is that our community information specialist, Chris Graham, received a couple of awards from the State Association, as I understand it, for some of the work he did, both on UR DeLand and also the recycling educational piece. So congratulations to Chris. And with that, we'll move to consent agenda. The city staff would like to remove item number 6 for further discussion, but it will be acted upon this evening. And other than that, does any member of the commission wish to remove any item from the agenda other than item 6? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve items 1 through 5 and 7 through 10?
So moved, Commissioner Paiva.
Second, Commissioner Reed.
We have a motion and a second. Just before I ask, I'm getting a terrible echo for some reason. I don't know why. Chief Umberger, are there many members of the public out there? Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Ployce.
Yes, sir. On item number 6, we just forgot there was a $500 insurance policy that should have been included in the total. So the total amount is $19,500. The RCA listed $19,000. So.
Are there any questions of Mr. Ployce? Is there then a motion?
Move approval of staff changes.
Is there a second?
Second, Cloudman.
All right, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the consent agenda. As previously mentioned, we have no information from by email from any member of the public. We'll now move to staff reports. First report, we're going to start with the city attorney, Mr. Alkine.
No, sir.
Madam Clerk,
No, sir.
Mr. Ployce.
Yes, sir. So I sent the commission an email on Thursday, just letting you know that I wanted to bring up tonight a proposed change to our meeting protocol, assuming the commission wants to proceed with some public hearings. And so tonight, I would ask for the benefit of the public that, number one, you decide on whether or not you want to have those public hearings that are scheduled in May. Staff did give some recommendations on those, and I'll review those in just a second. And then secondly, approving the change to the meeting protocol to better accommodate citizens for those public meetings. The public hearings were as follows, that were basically due to come back to the commission on May 4th. And that was the annexation, change of land use, and change of zoning for 2700 South Woodland Boulevard, the change of land use and change of zoning for South Amelia and Euclid, the annexation, change of land use, and change of zoning for Greens Dairy, and then Crestwind, the change of zoning. Staff did recommend, since we haven't even done first reading on Crestwind, that not be heard until June. The reason being is I think that it's important for us to really get a feel for how these new public meeting protocols will work, so that we can assure the public that wants to attend and give input on that meeting that we can do it in a meaningful way. I can go through all the protocol if you'd like, Mr. Mayor, or I can answer questions on it. But essentially, what we'd be allowing people to do is come in 10 persons at a time inside chambers. They would be able to give their input at the podium and have the use of the technology there, which would all be broadcast through the Zoom meeting. They would be able to see the Zoom meeting up on the monitors in the city commission chambers. And that way, for you presiding over the meeting, I think it would make it also easier for you to be able to see and recognize the individuals who want to speak. And for the petitioners team, it would also give them the ability to give a PowerPoint or use any of the other AV equipment that we have in the chambers to be broadcast through the Zoom meeting. So all that's kind of outlined in the public hearing protocol that I sent you. Be happy to answer any questions.
As to your question, Michael, what I would suggest is that we just have questions from the commission, but that staff in some fashion post tomorrow the procedures such that there's ample public notice as to what form and how the meetings are going to progress with actual quote live public hearings.
Okay.
So with that comment, unless there's any disagreement from the commission, we'll go to questions. Any questions of Mr. Ployce? Okay, we have no questions on the procedure, so I guess we're good to go. And again, I told Michael my only concern with it is if we have people in the commission chambers, while they'll see all of us on the big screen, so to speak, I just think there ought to be one body in here, but I understand why it doesn't work. So we'll go from that. So is there then a motion to approve the suggested procedure for the meetings in May, which would include public hearings, and so it will be applicable to the entire meeting?
So
We have a
moved.
motion. We have a motion. Is it
Second, Cloudman.
okay? We have a motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. All right, Michael, let's go to the schedule, specific schedule. You mentioned it. I mean, I think we tabled Crestwind to a date certain, which was the 4th of May. But I
Yes,
think for purposes of the public, I don't know uh, while it technically, I think, needs to be on the agenda, I think we can probably, pre-vote, so to speak, to move it to another date and put that in whatever notice. I'm not quite sure how we handle that part. Darren, do you have any thought on that?
Yeah, I think what you can do, if it's the collective desire of the commission to continue it, you can make a vote now. Basically, it's advisory in nature, that is your intent to continue it, but we'll still need to place it on the May 4th agenda and take it up formally. But at least there'll be some official action, not to say you couldn't revisit it on May 4th, but then that way the public would know and the applicant would know for sure that it's going to get continued. You'll still need to take formal action on May 4th just because of the notice that we've done.
Any member of the commission have any questions of Mr. Alkine in that regard? All right, then is there a motion to hold the public hearings on May 4th as per the schedule recommended by staff? In other words, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mayor, this is Darren.
Darren.
I want to make sure I understood what you were asking. The public hearing is scheduled for May 4th. Were you going to vote to continue it to the June meeting?
Well, I think that's the commission's decision. What I was trying to do was break it into two parts. There's some public hearings that are scheduled for May 4th as recommended by staff. Some second readings, Michael can help refresh me. I think one of them is Martha Cox, and
Yes.
that those would be held in accordance with staff's recommendations, as well as the other public hearings in May. And then we would take a separate motion specific to Crestwind, was my thought.
Thank you. I understand. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So having clarified my point, is there a motion then to hold the public hearings as set forth and recommended by staff for the month of May?
So moved. Commissioner Paiva.
Is there a second?
Second, Cloudman.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, is there then a motion to take an advisory, make an advisory statement to the public that the commission will continue at its May 4th hearing, the Crestwind public hearing to June 1 as a date certain?
Move approval. Commissioner
So-
Paiva.
Is there a second?
Second, Cloudman.
Darren, does that motion work for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Just for the commission's information, the secretary of the Lake Winnemucet Association contacted at least Michael and me in an email. I don't know if others were separately emailed, wanting to know where we're going to proceed on May 4. And Michael has just indicated that he will talk to them and advise all the interested parties, including the developer, the landowners council, on and on, as to the commission's intended action on that particular item. Anything else to report, Michael?
Yes,
Does that
sir.
take care- I'm sorry. Does that take care of everything we need to take care in your memo? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's just the two decisions,
Eh.
protocol and then when to schedule the meetings. I
Yeah,
figured,
and-
after,
One other thing, I mean, there were some other things in there that were for June, but I think we can address those as we see how everything progresses. And I think one thing that you did mention is another part of the consideration of the move to June 1 is to see where we may be in terms of social distancing, large gatherings and the like by that time as well, I think was another part of the thought process you all had.
Yeah, what I was going to say is you did have a number of items that you need to bring back, and I thought that, you know, having the public hearing on Monday with the new, or on the May 4th with the new protocol would be instructive of how well things would go, and the commission can make a final decision on those items as to whether or not you want to proceed, you know, with the schedule that I had outlined. So, and it also be instructive too for like the planning board, because I'd like to get them back to work if we can. And they do have a number of items that they need to consider. Their meeting is May 20th. So if this protocol works, you know, for you, then we can likely make it work for them and, you know, have them start considering some of the backlogged items.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions of Michael? All right. Anything else?
Yes, sir. If you don't mind just indulging me for 1 second. I wanted to let the commission know, and I'm sure you all know this because I've talked to you individually about it, but you know, for the public's benefit as well, is that you know, with businesses, you know, being hurt, you know, by this pandemic, you know, it will also begin to start affecting local government revenues as well, and how we pay for services. Most notably, you know, state shared revenue via the sales tax, but ultimately impact fees from, you know, development or ad valorem taxes and the like, revenues from parks and recreation. You know, it just kind of runs the gamut. So I've put the department heads on notice that there's a good likelihood that we will need to make some budget cuts before we even get to the end of this year, much less next year. And so what Dan and I are trying to do right now is to create a model for the commission that we can have a discussion probably around mid-May. We'll try to figure out, we're still waiting on some of the early revenue numbers so we can begin to populate the model with that data so that the commission, you know, can start to make some preliminary decisions, you know, on how to make sure that, you know, we've got enough revenue to get to the end of the year. But I anticipate we will have to make cuts. So, and certainly it will be very impactful next year. In that budget as well. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, you know, and we were working towards that goal of trying to have something to the commission around mid-May that, you know, you can start making some decisions on how we can handle some of those things.
Anything else, Michael?
No, sir.
Any questions of Michael? All right, we'll now go to City Commission. We'll start with Commissioner Cloudman.
Just hang in there, everyone. I know the governor's announcement to extend the, I guess, furlough, if you will, of public schools until the end of the school year, you know, not only affects the kids, but the parents as well. And, you know, having to rearrange their own schedules to make sure they're home with them. So I guess just keep all the parents and students and teachers in your thoughts.
Commissioner Paiva.
Yeah, I echo Chris's sentiments. Just everyone stay safe, and you know, we're all in this together moving forward. And I just want to thank staff for the meeting proposal, but also for doing everything they're doing. Actually getting lots of compliments on our public works out there, sprucing things up. So even though a lot of things are closed down, we're still moving ahead, and just want to thank staff for their dedication and hard work.
Commissioner Davis.
Did you say my name? I couldn't hear.
Yes, your turn.
Okay, my apology. Same thing. God bless you all. Stay safe. And I have no other comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Reed.
Just continue to stay safe. Staff, thanks for all that you do. And
We'll get through this.
A couple of comments. First tying back into what Chris said about the schools. The governor appointed a, I'll call it a, Open Florida committee. Representative Leak is one of the members of that committee. He contacted me over the weekend about any ideas or thoughts I might have, which I sent him some, but I really don't know, exactly 100% of what their charge is. But one thing that I did mention specifically is that with the schools being closed for the balance of the school year, I think they need to be very careful about mixed messages. We want to keep our kids at home, but it's okay that they go to all these different venues that might open up a little bit more, so I think we just need to, as a state, locally, be mindful if it's in order to keep our kids safe at home, we've got to continue to do some of the things that have ensured they've stayed home, for an extent. I'm not saying, all of May or anything, but it just struck me that particular action, coupled with the notion of, trying to reopen. I just, my big thing is I'd rather be 2 weeks late and accused of opening too slow than opening too early and being accused of opening too early, because I think if we had to take other measures and try to put things back in a containment mode, it would be extremely difficult. But that's just a personal view. All of us got the utility numbers, and I don't know how the rest of you viewed it, but they were certainly somewhat higher than I expected that they would be. And I guess Nick Conti told me earlier today that in the last couple of days, he's gotten a lot more calls about rent forbearance than he previously had. So I think what part of what's happening is now that a lot of businesses didn't get money that they thought might be coming, they're looking, for forbearances and those kinds of things. But we'll continue to see how all of that plays out. We're through the League of Cities, Volusia League. We're continuing to have our mayor's calls every Thursday morning and talk about what each other's doing or not doing. And Ed Kelly's been joining us, so we've gotten some information on what the county's plans are. And as I understand it, from the managers' meetings, that a lot of what the state decides is going to be the model that probably Volusia County will try to adhere to as closely as they can, but which is what we've been doing in the up to date, I suppose, is the best way to say that. We continue as a staff to look for creative ways to help our community. And as you talk to people, if they have ideas, please have them pass them along, because Michael and staff are open and receptive to any ideas or ways that we can help. And then I too want to echo, I meant to say it last meeting, but to Greg and his staff, a lot of time and energy are going into the whole notion of virtual meetings and trying to make sure that all the equipment is working and eliminate as many potential kinks as they possibly can. But that's just one aspect of it. Charles, as you said, Public Works, our employees are still out there daily doing their jobs. I'm not hearing or learning of any great number of complaints about having to work in this environment. So I want to thank all of our department heads, all of our employees for, what they're having to go through to perform their jobs, worried about their own families, their own well-being and the like. So department heads, Michael, on behalf of the commission, please convey to all of your employees that we know it's tough times for everyone, and to please, continue to, do the best job you can for our community, because that says a lot to our community. And one of the most important things is that we've got to prepare for, in one sense, is when the doors or floodgates are open, so to speak, and we get back to a much more normal way of life again. The public is going to expect everything to be ready. Playgrounds are ready to go, so on and so forth. So we appreciate what they're doing. So if there's no further comment, this meeting is